Welcome back in. Freddie Mercury singing his heart out for Queen,
This is a great song.
a band that Jake Scott does not like.
I didn't say that.
Right here on 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Jeez, look, it's so upset over there.
Man,
We're having a good time.
how could you not be upset? Sitting in this chair, talking to PK. It's a recipe for upsetness.
I don't know. Yeah, man. I seem to bring out the worst in people.
I'm not upset. No, I'm having a great time. Having a great time.
Nice. That sounded horrible, but it was still nice
Oh, man.
in its own way. So football practice, we're under 2 weeks away, man. It's going to get started. And before we know it, the season will be here. We're talking about this. Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, says Kalani Sitake on the hot seat. I'm not willing to say hot seat. I'll put him on the seat, but it's not the hot seat. And you?
Yeah, I could come along with that. I think he's got a...
On me, that he's on the seat or he's on the hot seat?
No, I agree with you. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I mean, I heard you guys talking about this a little bit earlier. Yeah, if he wins one game next year, then that seat's going to heat up quickly. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he has to meet or exceed expectations this year.
So meet the minimum being 6-6?
Yeah, that's where I would put it. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you'd have.
Well, I mean, you have to put it at that.
Would have a different standard, but I think that's probably.
I mean,
what
if
it
you're
is.
Colorado, Houston, ASU, if you won 5 games, that would be an advancement.
Their players are all talking about going back to the bowl seasons. So 6-6 at minimums.
Yeah.
And
They gotta
if
get
he
to the bowl.
misses that by a game, I don't think they're going to run him out on a rail.
I don't think so
necessarily.
either.
Two
But
5-7 seasons in a row, though. That really amps up the heat for the 25 season.
yeah. Oh, certainly. Yeah, certainly. But that's the business they've chosen, right?
Thank you, Hiram.
That's how it works. I love that line.
That's a Godfather 2 line.
Yep.
When I look at this from a fan perspective, we're going through their schedule. You look at them in order to get the 6 wins. Okay, Southern Illinois, and you'd have to think they'd have to beat Baylor, they'd have to beat Houston, they'd have to beat ASU. So that's 4. So they got to find a way.
You get 2 more.
Yeah, that's assuming, that they can beat those teams. Obviously,
I would favor them against those teams.
I would too. I would too.
I think both road games in the non-conference are brutal. We asked Tom Homo about that.
We did.
Big
We
12
did.
Media Day.
And he had to get scheduling taken care of, and
It wasn't his first choice. That was obvious, but it's what they have to do. So
although I think they can win both of those games.
I don't know. I think splitting both of those games is more likely.
So then you would go lose SMU, win Wyoming.
Right. But I don't think win Wyoming is any sort of guarantee. They have a new coach, but they were good last year.
Bowl built a nice program there, and he retired.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
Right, and I think part of it is that a lot of times they've had success, and then the coach takes off, whereas he stayed and did his thing for a number of years, and that was cool to see from them to have some continuity. I enjoyed that, but yeah, that's I've been up there. You've probably been up there too. When the Cougars come to town, that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It'll be early in the season, so it won't be most likely funky weather. Won't be a part of it.
Were you at the game when Wyoming beat Croton up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the pandemonium after that game. I mean, it was like
ripping down a goalpost, running it through town.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't beat BYU and whatever it was, and they beat them in Laramie, and it was the biggest thing.
It was a crappy BYU team, but it was still a huge deal.
Yeah, right.
No doubt about it. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't think that's any sort of guaranteed win.
That's the thing about it, man. Their schedule, if you're a fan, would you like to wake up in the morning on a Saturday thinking, oh, we're most likely going to win, or, man, I'm not really sure?
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be necessarily a quote-unquote fun season for BYU, I don't think. Where I'm concerned about Coach Sitake and his future at BYU is I don't like their business plan. I don't like how they're
And what do you mean by
trying
that?
to win.
Well, explain, please.
I don't think what wins at Utah wins at BYU. And I think they're trying to take what wins at Utah and put it at BYU, and I don't think that's going to work.
All right, you got to give me more than that. What are you talking about?
Historically speaking, what wins at BYU is an All-American quarterback who's an upperclassman who can sling it all over the field.
All right.
Big offensive lines, great linebackers, not necessarily reliant on the defense, although if the defense was good, that would be helpful. Like, what year was it with Bronco? Like the 06 team with Bronco where the defense was really good, But if you look back at BYU's history, it's Max Hall, John Beck, Brandon Doman, Ty Detmer, Jim McMahon, Steve Young. Even Steve Sarkisian I'd throw in there. I mean,
certainly
they can recruit those type of quarterbacks, and that's how they win.
But if you have a good defense, or if you have a great defense combined with that, then you got the 96 special team.
Right. But Utah have a great defense based on dynamic corners, run the ball constantly. Who cares who the quarterback is? It doesn't matter. That's not how you win at BYU. I've talked to you about this before. It's driving me crazy. The quarterback now can participate in the run game, so the run game's going to be better. That shouldn't even be relevant at BYU. That's not how they should be trying to win. That's ridiculous.
Defenses become consistent or more sophisticated to where they can defend the pass better, and BYU in a lot of those times was catching teams off guard. And
stop running the Utah defense at BYU. It's not going to work. They've been trying to do that forever. It's not going to work. So you're saying
they're all Utah guys.
So change what you're doing. Bronco came in running that stupid 3-3-5 stack thing, and when he realized, okay, well, that's definitely not going to work at BYU, he threw in the garbage can and coached another 10 years there. Andy Ludwig, when he got to Utah the first time and inherited Urban Meyer's spread, even though he was a pro-style David Carr type of thing, he totally adjusted what he did because that's how, at the time, you won at Utah. That was the recipe. You can recruit to that. I don't think that they can do at BYU what they do at Utah. For one, they can't recruit the corners. And I know they've gotten some transfers that have been a little bit better, and we'll see how it goes. But you can't recruit corners to BYU that you can leave out on an island like you can at Utah. It's just not something BYU's ever done before. So why would it work now? Bronco, in fact, this big aggressive defensive coordinator, 3-3-5 stack and all that stuff, by the end of his run, what was his defense that everybody hated, Hatch? Drop 8 or whatever it was?
Oh, you're talking about Broncos finals? Yeah,
at the end, the drop 8, everybody hated that. But that's what you have to do.
Well, that was more of what Elisa Tuiaki and
Yeah, right. I mean, but everybody ends up doing that. My point is every defensive coordinator who takes a job at BYU is like, we're going to blitz all the time, and we're going to be aggressive, and we're going to do all this and that. And then you realize, I can't recruit the personnel to play like that.
Why can't they recruit the personnel, though? I would disagree with that.
I don't know. You tell me. Why haven't they had...
I'm not going to disagree with myself. Why would I tell you?
No, why haven't they had multiple all-conference level, and I realize they haven't been in a conference, but you get my point, all-conference level corners? Who are the best corners at BYU over the last 20 years?
Well, that's 20 years. It'd be hard for me to
10
go
years.
Back.
Brian Logan.
I love Brian. He's 5 feet tall.
5'6".
And was
a great open field tackler.
Yes.
That's probably because of his size, man. He could just zero in and wasn't getting faked out.
You'd probably have to put last year's corner tandem of Camden Garrett and Eddie Heckard on that list. We talk about them being transferred.
Yeah, getting better and being transferred.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Why can't they now recruit those guys? I think they can.
I think
they've never been in a better situation to have a wider spread of recruiting rather than the Utah County kid.
Okay, but I think if they could do that, I think Bronco would have done that in 04 when he wanted an extra defensive back on the field.
04 was different than 24. We're 20 years removed.
All right. Because BYU's still the same university.
Yeah, but everything has changed within the university. The football program, not the university. The football program.
Okay.
You have a pathway to make the national playoff, and they haven't had that literally ever.
Okay,
Ever.
so you are the coaching staff is betting on you being right. I don't think you are.
Oh, I think I am.
And even if you were right, they don't have anybody who can sling it at quarterback. And Ben always pushes back and he says every university is looking for an all-American quarterback. Sure, but BYU has a history of recruiting them. They've done it all the time. They were quarterback U. Hans had a big argument with Softy about who had the better quarterback legacy, Utah or BYU or the University of Washington.
Softy
Mahler.
Yeah, Dave Softy Mahler. Yeah, who
he's
works
a
up there
radio guy in
He worked
Seattle.
in Seattle forever.
Big Huskies honk. BYU can recruit those quarterbacks. So where are they?
Okay, if they can recruit those quarterbacks, why can't they recruit those DBs? What's the difference?
I don't know. That'd be an interesting sociological deep dive.
Well, they've brought in 2 guys in the last recruiting class who are pretty highly thought of defensive backs, and Falatau Satuala out of Bountiful, who Utah.
Okay.
Yeah, Osawala and Satuala, and then Trey Alexander. They got a kid out of Atlanta that they think is going to be the next big corner.
That's what I'm saying. I think their recruiting net has been cast wider than ever now.
It absolutely has.
Yeah.
Okay, casting a net and getting people to come is a different thing.
They're in the process of doing it. They've only played one season in the conference. I think their level of recruiting is picking up because now they have viable stuff to sell where for over a decade they really didn't.
How much did they have to sell back in the Mountain West and WAC days? Well, they were pretty good then.
Not like now.
Not like now. I get it that it's different, but
they are making a massive push on the NIL.
Yeah, sure.
They're stepping up to the plate in a manner that was never done before.
So all of a sudden, Jalen Johnson's going to BYU instead of Utah.
No. Maybe so. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't.
No, your first inclination is correct. No, he's still not going there.
I'm not so sure about that anymore. I mean, obviously they got the code and that stuff, and it's a little bit different.
A little.
And yeah, I think it is. Yeah, but I don't think it's. I think it's racist to say that a black guy can't live the honor code.
No, I would agree with that. I don't. That's not my opinion.
Well, I mean, that's the intimation, though.
No.
I think it is.
My opinion is the honor code automatically limits that net, that recruiting net that you guys are talking about. And
so Utah's net is wider. Understood. We're not comparing nets. Don't give me net size.
No, it's. You say it's a little different. BYU is a lot different. And finding young people, regardless of race or religion, that can fit into that lifestyle is going to
wider than ever.
It's going to limit who you can recruit.
But it's also, at the same breath, wider than ever.
Fine.
Yeah.
I still don't think Jalen Johnson is picking BYU over Utah. And by the way, I'm just picking really good Utah cornerback. I'm not picking him specifically. Other than he is a star corner who picked Utah in large part because of the defense that they run.
Oh yeah, but we're not. They can't recruit Jalen Johnson. Fine,
but that's who you need. You need the stud corner to run that defense.
I think they had some stud corners last year. I think they had stud corners in '96. Yeah, they can. And if you can get them in '96, you can get them in 2026.
You just told me that 25 years ago doesn't matter. You just told me that.
Well, but I can name that team.
In 96.
You wanted to know the best corners of the last 20 years. I can't remember who the corners were in 2012. I'm sorry, but I can remember who the corners were in 96 because the team was, what were they, 14 or 15-1?
They were really good.
Yeah.
But that's the exception, not the rule. And what I did say...
Right, but the exception can become more of the rule now because things have changed dramatically in Provo. Conference talks, playoff, 64,000 talks, money talks. Money always has the biggest, loudest voice in every room. And they have the opportunity to offer that. Is the absolute 5-star going to go to BYU? Probably not. But there's plenty of other players. The amount of quality players in college football, I think, is bigger and better than ever. And kids are considering BYU for what BYU has to offer because BYU has a lot to offer. Yes, they've got this other thing here that's going to be different than the University of Utah. Understood. But that doesn't mean it is an 100% barrier and cannot be conquered. Just look at their roster now. They're getting those types of kids.
And we're talking about them winning 6 games. Listen, what I had said
This
was
year,
that
yeah.
if BYU could recruit those types of corners, Bronco would have done it in 04. And you said, it doesn't matter. Well, it's so different now. And then you go all the way back to 96.
Because I remember that team, yeah.
But my
And
point,
those were junior college kids. Well, now they're transfer portal kids. McTire was a junior college kid, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, same with Omar Morgan.
Right. And those kids were LA kids that I knew about because I had only been here a couple of years at that time. So that junior college kid, and coaches will tell you, Whittingham talked about this very thing last Friday when somebody asked him, those junior college kids are being replaced by transfer portal kids. And so now, and I had one coach tell me, and obviously you would know his name, the junior college kid we can get. Why? Because he doesn't have to live that possibly different lifestyle for 4 or 5 years. He only has to come in for 18 months, essentially. Well, it's the same thing. Would they have gotten a Gary Bohannon in 2004? Probably not. But are they getting him today? Yes. Yes, the kid's mature. He's been around. I think he's 7th year, isn't he, Yak? Just like Rising?
He's 6th year, technically.
Okay. Well, the kid is a young man. He's not a kid.
He's 24.
Yeah. And so he looks at the situation from a young man's perspective, and all that other stuff over here, it doesn't matter. He's not coming here to do that nonsense. He's coming here to try to resurrect his football career and get himself, much like Slovis did last year, in the possibility of getting into a training camp, just like Slovis. It was Slovis with the Colts. Yeah. And so in the next week or so.
By the way, Slovis just got drafted in the UFL.
UFL, yeah. So he'll play professionally. So the mature kid who is 22, 23, 24, he can look at it drastically different than a 17, 18-year-old kid, and he can evaluate the deal and come in just like a Caleb Etienne, just like an Aiden Robbins. I mean, the list, Tyson Williams, the list goes on, really, when you think about it. And those are kids just off the top of my head. And Heckard and the other kid, why did they come? Because it's a better stage, man. They got an opportunity to audition themselves if I can do it here.
A job.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 2 more of them this year, and Jack Kelly and Mark Collins.
Okay. And if BYU has a top 10 defense in the country this year, I'll certainly
I don't know
apologize.
about this year,
I
but I'm
don't-
talking about it's a process. The process is getting better.
I'm going to quibble with one thing that Jake said earlier. He said that
Quibble
BYU's
with 2 things.
BYU's been trying to run Utah's off defense for years. Have they really, though? Because
Have they
Yes.
really?
Elisa and Ned Lamb did not implement what Utah was trying to run. No offense. They did
Well,
not
they're
implement-
gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
Now you got
Jay's
Utah
had,
guys.
Jay's had 1 year to really implement this.
Yeah.
You got to give him some time to allow him to really
Yeah.
run it.
Kalani, when he first got the job, he put in Kyle Whittingham's defense. I mean,
Jake, I've covered this team as heavily as anybody, and that
As
was not the
anybody.
Utah defense.
Anybody. There's no one more
okay,
connected.
let me put it this way. Wouldn't it be easier just to go find Brandon Doman, Dennis Pitta, and Kyle Van Noy? I mean, like, lean into things you can recruit.
I think they still do. I don't think they were eliminating that. I think that is still a hardcore emphasis.
But I don't
The
care
Team, the team will always be overwhelmingly LDS, right?
I don't care about the quarterback running. I barely care about the run game.
what the heck
This is
did Brandon Doman do?
This is BYU. He was.
That's what the modern offense in college football, period.
What did Brandon Doman do? He ran. What was his grade? And him and Staley, the 2 best
They ran the
combination
option a lot.
of
Yeah.
quarterback, runner, and running back, obviously. They've never been better.
Doman didn't play 3 years or whatever it was for the Niners because he could run. Doman was a great passer.
Ooh.
I picked him because he wasn't the elite of the
'cause
elite
he's a
BYU
Skyline
quarterback.
guy. I get why you picked him. Come on. You got that Skyline snobbery.
My point is, you don't even need to find Ty Detmer. Find Max Hall. Find John Beck. I mean, find these quarterbacks that go to BYU, that want to go to BYU.
They're going to. But they got to be available. The LDS mama and the LDS papa got to go ahead and produce them.
So you can make excuses for him. That is not my problem.
How's that an excuse?
Well, what they found him before, so go find
And
him again. You
they'll
gotta have a
find him
guy.
again.
Will they?
Who's a great LDS quarterback out there in high school right now?
Well, Ty Detmer was an LDS. You
they
don't
just
even have to be LDS.
Well, they've got Gary Bohannon and McKay Hillstead's the latest one they've brought in. Obviously, he is LDS coming in from Utah State.
I'm optimistic about Hillstead.
But they just
I hope
had
he'll be good.
a kid named Nolan Keeney out of Tualatin, Oregon, same place that Luke Staley came out of, who just committed. He's kind of the next, and he's an LDS kid.
And he's going to be a senior this year?
He's a 6'4" quarterback coming out.
6'4", Jake. 6'4".
Okay.
He's full of muscle, too.
I think if that
Listen
dude
to the
pans out,
220 pounds.
220, 6'4", 220. Wow.
I think if they find a guy at quarterback,
And
that
at
will
Utah,
lead to
you
a
know
lot
what
more.
he'd be a linebacker.
Well, Jake's point is well founded. BYU's history suggests when they have a good quarterback, they're going to elevate
who
their play.
doesn't?
Yeah, but BYU's history, if you look at the last 50 years under Lavelle and their other coaches they've had an upper-level quarterback. They have been very, very good.
Yeah, and at the same time, last year when they had Slovis, they were 5-2.
Correct. And he got injured.
Things were looking good. I thought he was pretty good. He wasn't a runner. That's not his thing.
No.
100% pro style. But I mean, their depth at quarterback this year is the best it's ever been.
They've got 4 quarterbacks who have D1 experience this year.
4 quarterbacks who have D1 experience.
And yet nobody's excited about any of them.
Oh, I'm excited about all of them. Are you kidding me? You just told me Hillstead is somebody you're excited about.
Yeah.
So there's at least one person on the planet who's excited about those 4 quarterbacks,
Yeah.
one of the 4, and that's you.
Right, but he's 18, and we'll see how is he? 19,
18?
20? What is he?
What
He's
difference
young.
does it
He's
make what
barely
age he
played.
is?
He's got a ways to go.
Detmer was
19
once
now.
18. His Adam's apple was the most prominent feature on his body, they used to say.
Well, Liddell Everett said he expected to see John Elway walk in and he got Pee Wee Herman out of the deal. So
Well, he said that after he got good.
after he got good. Yeah, he's like, we walked. You expect to hear about John Elway walking through the door and there's Pee Wee Herman.
If
in
he
the,
stunk, he wouldn't have said that.
yes,
But
and
since he had that innate ability to make a play, he said that. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's going to be a long, long fall in Provo if you're Jake Scott. If you're PK, good days are coming. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
The Jazz can't make their roster better right now because there's no player out there that makes them better. But the one player that would make everyone else better is the player you currently have. So the Jazz are in this weird situation where they do have this all-star level player, but they don't have the pieces around him to win big. So what do? We don't want to trade Larry Markkinen because this is a special talent. He's an all-star. This is a guy that's 7 feet that can shoot 40% from 3, that has freak athleticism for his size. He is the quintessential athlete. Like you look, obviously he's not superstar status in the league yet, but almost generational in his athleticism and his skill set and the way his body's built. Giving him away sucks. So they're not going to give him away. They're going to want a lot.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey! Well, I won that argument. And for Jake Scott, another one bites the dust. 9 a.m. Hour Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Tim Daly Mazda Southtown. Find your new Mazda at the south end of the valley at Tim Daly Mazda Southtown. That's Tim Daly Mazda Southtown in Sandy. You're not a summer league guy at all, apparently.
Oh, I'm the basketball fan in me likes to watch basketball, but there are a lot of things about summer leagues that aggravate me, like the refereeing, and then I think people overreact to what they see. So I always try
good or bad or both.
Or both. Both. Yeah. I mean, it's just people are thirsting for basketball, big basketball community around here, and then we like to read into everything. I teased Ben about Jared Butler a few years ago. How the media just wouldn't shut up about Jared Butler, and Quinn Snyder even was like, "Why are you guys asking me all these questions about Jared Butler?"
Wasn't he a second-round pick?
He was a second-round pick.
Because they didn't have a first-round pick?
Yeah. He had a good summer or some good moments in the summer. Everybody's like, is Jared Butler going to be the difference? Is he going to be what put you over the top?
Nobody asked that.
Oh, dude, go back.
Is he gonna?
Go
is
back.
Jared Butler going to be the difference?
Ben wrote an article. I'm picking on Ben. Ben wrote an article about how after the Jazz were out of the playoffs, about how if they developed Jared Butler more, they could have still be playing.
Wow.
Yeah. and again, I teased Ben about this because it was a bit on our show. But like, you forget that summer where everybody was just dying about Jared Butler
Well,
to
I
the
think
point
it's
where the
because
coach was like, "What are you guys
They
doing?"
didn't have a first-round pick.
Okay, you can.
So he
you're
was
into
there.
making excuses for
No,
people.
no.
But I'm
He
just
he
telling
got
you.
attention. I made excuses for you all the time. He got attention because he was their first-round pick. He was their only
But
pick.
it doesn't change the fact that people were overreacting to
Okay,
summer.
but about
and
a high pick though, it's different.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ben Simmons has a good summer league. That guy has sucked.
I'm talking about these guys. Yeah, no question. I think injuries and other stuff have gotten away. But when you've got two top 10 picks, you're expected to hit on them. And summer league's all you got, so you go ahead and you get
But you
a
can't.
little bit excited. Aren't you excited about any of these three guys that they just drafted? I mean, I watched the game. I had something else to watch last night, obviously, but I also watched the summer league, and I'm excited about these three guys.
That's fine. I'm
To
not
what-
criticizing you for that.
But it's based on summer league.
But you're
I take
but
that
you're
back. It's
not
not
saying-
exclusively based on summer league.
But you're not like, hey, next stop all NBA. I mean, you're not.
Oh, for Cody
doing
Williams?
that. Like,
no, well, I will say that in 27.
I mean, you can get excited about. I thought what I asked Locke about Taylor Hendricks adding some stuff to his game. I mean, I think you can get excited about those sorts of things, and you see the lab, in summer. But
Yeah.
like, you can't tell me that all of a sudden Taylor Hendricks had a good game, and so he's going to be a starter and a rotational guy for the Jazz, and he's
He's got to be, man. He's got to be at some point. Not necessarily this year, but he's got to be.
Right, but I'm not going to make that determination
But
based
if you're
on
a
summer
fan,
league.
man, that's the time to get excited.
But you're asking me.
You're a fan.
You're asking me my opinion.
I'm a fan.
Fans get excited about things that I don't get excited about all the time.
I mean, we're fans, but in a different way.
right.
I'm a fan of the Jazz.
Sure. I'd like to see them do well. Sure. Whatever. I'm not.
Yeah.
But you're saying fans get excited about this guy playing well and that guy playing well. I'm not going to tell anybody to not get excited. You asked
And
me.
sure, they overblow it a little
Right.
bit, but that's part of being a fan.
Okay. I'm not arguing that.
They've got 6 guys that they just drafted, right? They've got to hit on some of them. If not, then this downtime is going to last a decade.
Sure. I don't disagree with that, but you're not going to make your final judgment based on summer.
I don't make my final judgment based on anything. I think
saw-
you have to bake it on everything. And right now, summer is a small portion. But
I
it's still
saw-
something worth evaluating.
A media member at the end of last year say definitively, and I can't remember what it was on Twitter, but I think it's obvious the Jazz hit on all of their picks last year. That's what
When was this?
said. At the end of last season,
End of last season, so the 3 first-round picks. Okay.
saying that
It's obvious.
It's obvious the Jazz hit on Hendricks, Sensabaugh, and
Well, define hit.
and George.
Yeah.
Right. Well, fine. I'm nitpicking a little bit, but I saw that. Like, it's impossible to make that judgment after 1 year, let alone one summer league.
I think it's promising to go down that road.
I think that media member may end up being right, but you can't make that determination after last year. You certainly didn't. I didn't either.
Well, see, I look at hit and I correlate to draft number.
Okay.
So Sensabaugh hit. If these 3 guys go last year, not this year, if these 3 guys are in the league on an NBA roster in 29-30, did they hit? I think
I don't
you
know.
can argue yes.
Okay. I don't think
There's got to be some criteria for hit.
Sure. I don't think there's a guarantee Sensabaugh's on the roster next year.
No, I said an NBA roster.
I know. I watched Trey Burke take second in the NBA Rookie of the Year voting because the Jazz gave him the ball the whole game, and that guy stunk.
Was he second?
Yeah. Behind what's his name, Williams, who actually was stinky too.
Which Williams?
Oh, whatever. He ended up on the Suns, but I think he was on the Philadelphia 76ers at the time. He was a point guard who couldn't shoot.
Darren? Duran? How do you say his name?
Darren.
That's my Tracy McGrady thing.
By the way, Burke was third. I apologize.
Yeah,
third.
I didn't think he was second.
He was third. Well, second, third, whatever.
So what are the other ones?
Hold on.
You got me curious. Who was second?
Let's see here.
My memory on this stuff sucks.
No, that's not it. Hold on.
I want Rookie of the Year.
Keep talking.
The year that he came out. Believe me, DJ looks up nonsense all day more.
I know.
Long. I got to do that. Sure. Trey Burke did not pan out. But I don't think these guys got the ball.
Michael Carter Williams.
The Syracuse kid.
Victor
went to Charlotte.
Victor Oladipo was second. And he was Philadelphia 76ers. I was right about that. Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah.
Oladipo was second. Trey Burke was third.
Well, yeah, but I mean, sometimes it's just a crappy rookie class, so you get voted just because if you got out on the floor a little bit. But yeah, Trey Burke didn't pan out. And wasn't he a top 10 pick?
Giannis, by the way, was tied for 7th in Rookie of the Year that year.
That was a crappy draft.
He was the 9th pick, I believe. The Jazz traded up to get him.
Yeah.
Trey Burke got one first-place vote.
Probably by somebody from here.
Probably.
Or Michigan.
He played 32 minutes that year, scored 12.8 points per game, 5.7 assists, shot 38% from the field. Yikes.
That was
33% from three. Yeah, right.
I mean, that was it.
The Jazz gave him the ball the whole game, and everybody's like, "Oh, this guy's got potential." No, he doesn't. You can't make that
you make
determination.
a solid case.
So I can't look at Summer League and go, "Wow, okay, hits across the board."
What can you? No, not Summer League.
And not even last year. You can't do it.
You can't take any form of.
You can, but I can't predict
promise?
whether. Promise, sure, but that's not what we're talking about.
Okay, but what are we talking about? What are you talking about? And when you evaluate the three rooks who will be going into their second year.
Oh, I think all three have potential, some more than others. But can you say that Keontae George, and he was the best out of the three last year, can you say he's going to be an NBA starter for the foreseeable future?
I don't even know what position they got him at. I mean, Danny Ainge didn't even know that.
An even better point.
Yeah.
You don't even know what position he plays.
But
I don't either.
I think he can help your team win.
Okay.
And that.
I think switching from orange to purple Gatorade will help the team win. I mean, that's such a vague thing.
I don't. No.
But that's the point, is you can't put your finger on it after a year, and you certainly, to go even further, can't put your finger on it after Summer League.
If I agree on the Summer League, but after 82 games, you should have, if you don't have some kind of idea that this guy is worth investing in, then you've just wasted the year.
Portland thought Jermaine O'Neal sucked, and he did suck on their team for, 3 years, 4 years? They barely played him.
He came right out of high school,
They
didn't he?
gave up on him and sent him to Indiana, and he turns into an all-star and one of the better bigs in the league for a long time.
And he's dropping fans on the floor.
Well, why are you distracting from that? Why are you distracting from my point with something that doesn't matter?
That doesn't matter. The Malice and the Palace didn't matter.
To this conversation, it did not. He spent 4 years in Portland. 4. Doing nothing. They had one of the best bigs in the league on their bench doing nothing. 4 points a game, 4.5 points a game, 2.5 points a game, 3.9 points per game. Give up on him and trade him to Indiana.
What'd they get back?
I'd have to look. Does it
Right.
matter?
Yes.
There's no way they got equal value back.
I don't know that. I don't know who they got, so I can't answer that.
He might have even left as a free agent, honestly.
I don't. And what did they use that money then to? I mean, there's all sorts of things that go into it. You just can't look at something at 100% and at face value and just derive all sorts of thoughts and opinions and emphatic statements from it.
But you didn't know what he was going to be after a year, not even close.
But I think
even Portland didn't know.
See, they didn't. But he was. You can say that about Kobe and Kevin Garnett too. Guys that come out of high school.
That's exactly.
Right.
Oh, you can get college guys too. Don't give me that. But that's exactly my point.
But if you don't have a better idea, but you're asking for perfection, and you're going to be disappointed every time.
Oh, here's a article. Former Portland GM regrets trading Jermaine O'Neal.
Yeah. And so you're gonna. There's plenty of guys who make bad decisions. If you think that that's not going to happen, you're kidding yourself. They've had number 1 picks who've been absolute 100% busts. That's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen because if it were an exact science, then anybody could do the job. That's why Ainge is so good at the job, is because it's not an exact science. And there's sometimes a lot of times you have to risk it, but you better hope you're right, and better the research and all the stuff that you've done. You better hope that it comes to pass, and you got to trust your instincts. And I'll put Ainge right there with anybody. And I believe that the Jazz have intel based on what happened last year, that they feel better about being able to evaluate those three guys from last year more so than this year. Not based on Summer League, but based on everything. And a lot of it is maybe even stuff that they didn't even see out on the floor. It's what they see in practice, what they see in work ethic, what they see in the weight room, all those types of things that we never see, that they know about. You better have a better idea this year about those three guys. If you're still stuck in the summer of 23, then you're not doing your job. But I don't think that's the case.
Jermaine O'Neal, by the way, was traded to Indiana in exchange for Dale Davis, and that's it. And Dale Davis had to be 1,000 years old in 2000.
Look at you. All of a sudden, Jermaine O'Neal is like your debate point.
That's a great example of what I'm talking about. Thank you.
That somebody screwed up.
No, that you can't decide whether or not somebody's going to make it or be good or whatever, or is a hit after 1 year. It's
But
just,
you can have a better evaluation.
Oh, what is that? Okay, fine. Yeah, you got a better
I think that's
evaluation.
important.
All right.
As you go, yeah.
So
Portland
you're
didn't get it
telling
right.
me
They didn't have a better evaluation, apparently.
that you get more information and you can better determine these things. No
Maybe.
kidding. Which is exactly my point.
Maybe. Not necessarily. You got to have the guys in the place who know what they're doing. If the Jazz are going to get out of this losing run, they've got to have the management that is going to get them out. The players are going to help them get them out, and the coaching staff is going to help them get out. But the management has got to be right way more than they're wrong. And I think you can make an argument that they hit on those three guys from last year in their own individual levels. Not universally hit. The word hit is a one definition word that applies to everything. That's not the case. You know?
Yeah, you've got that hair split really fine. I got it.
I think my hair looks doggone good. I've been told that. My hairdresser, Trudy, she loves my hair. She jumps on me. Man, you let this grow. I say, I didn't let anything. My wife makes the appointment. I just show up. You know what I'm saying?
No, because I make my own hair appointments.
All right, stay with us. We'll wrap up the show next on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
Put a bow on it is what he tells me. Oh, my gosh. Another week is gone. Time go fast for you guys?
So fast. Can't believe this summer is like basically over.
It's not over. We're not even to August yet.
My kids go back like the second week of August.
Same here. It's weird.
It's early.
But then you get out earlier.
Yeah, not really.
No, they just sprinkle in a bunch of days off during
Here's
the
a
middle of the
random
year.
Monday
Yeah.
and a Friday off throughout the year. Okay, thanks, guys.
Listen to you guys just cracking on teachers.
I'm not cracking on
I'm not cracking on the teachers.
Yes, you were. They need some time off, man. You know, and plus they got in-service days, grades they got to get done. Let me tell you, I don't appreciate your disrespect to teachers.
High school football's like 3 weeks away, guys.
How about
High
that?
school football is 3 weeks away.
Something like that.
Cool.
And besides, you're biased about teachers.
I love
Obviously.
them.
I know you do.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. And those random Fridays give you a chance to go to Kenny during the year.
Do you know that I went and got a teaching credential?
I did know that.
Yes, I did. I'm a proud graduate of my teaching certificate from Grand Canyon College.
Isn't it Grand Canyon University now?
Yes, it is.
Soon to be members of the West Coast Conference.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was obvious.
Them in Seattle are going to be members of the
Yeah.
WCC going forward.
Grand Canyon wanted that bad.
Oh, yes. They've been chasing it for a while.
Yeah, and is Seattle a religious school?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then
Jesuit school, I believe.
It is
Yeah.
Jesuit. I've actually visited that campus.
Have you?
It's nice.
Yeah.
They play in that Climate Pledge Arena, I believe.
Yeah, my wife applied to law school there. Didn't
Oh.
end up going, but
When I was going through my certification to get a teaching certificate at Grand Canyon. They had a really good baseball team. They played at the NAIA level. I mean, it was really they've put guys in. Tim Salmon.
Well, they're still pretty good right now.
Yeah. Right. I mean, for obvious reasons, the weather. And so they won, and they went to the World Series. But in the celebration in the locker room, they were spraying and drinking champagne, and the school made them forfeit.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big, big story.
Well,
we're going back a long time ago.
Them's the rules.
Because I knew somebody on the team, but they didn't even really think of it. But yet, that's what ended up happening, and they had to forfeit their spot. In that was such a blow to those guys, man, as you can imagine. Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
You could have just said, "Oh, it's Martinelli's. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, really.
It wouldn't have been hard.
Yeah, the local champagne and flavor up here.
Yeah, right. It's just some Martinelli's. Get over it. It's funny what people choose to get bent out of shape about, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt bad for the guys. If they would have known, they wouldn't have done it, you know?
Sure.
I don't think they were looking to go afoul of any rules, but it's sort of a celebration tradition, you know what I mean? We see that all the time of that. When the Bulls won their title, when Jordan won his first title, I was working in L.A. and was in the Form locker room, the Bulls locker room, and they're spraying everything, and I had gotten one of those little towels, put it over my head to make sure that I could not get soaked, because I had to write and take notes and go write stuff. And then and they ran out of champagne, and they were asking people for change and going in the vending machine and buying like root beer and whatnot and coming back and spraying it all over the place.
Got to have something.
Yeah, it was fun times.
The champagne guy really dropped the ball.
Yeah, I know.
Have enough.
I guess they didn't think they were going to win that game or
I
something. I
guess.
don't know. It was game 5. They won that. That was the only. I think that was the only Bulls final that they didn't go 6. I think all the other.
They went 6.
The 5 that they won were 6, and that one was 5. That first one that they got, lost the first game and then won 4 in a row. All right. Well, thanks for sitting in. We appreciate it. And you will stay at that chair, and Ben will replace me in my chair, and we'll have Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.